I'm talking about understanding resistance. Hey, Kim. So this is so important. So important. And it's often the missing piece that anyone who's into manifestation, that is actively trying to manifest things, or even if you're someone who doesn't still know that much about manifestation, but you have goals that you've tried to achieve before and just haven't hit them, hey, then this is the missing piece, right? However you want to look at it, whether it's a goal or a desire or a manifestation, whatever it is, anything you're wanting to call in, understanding resistance is the reason you're not getting it. So here's how things work, right? It's really simple, but we can mess it all up. It's really simple. Whatever you decide that you want, it is yours. It is given. It is yours. So if you decided this week, I want $10,000 to drop into my bank account, it would be yours, it would be done, it would be given if you believe it, right? If you believe it. This is the key. This is the real key here. So it's about your belief. But once you decide, if you are fully behind it, if you fully believe it, if you are wholeheartedly 100% behind it, it is done, it is certain, it will come into your existence. So if you can have the desire, if you can have that thought, your higher self or the universe has already started to line things up for you, right? It's the only reason that it doesn't come into your existence is because you create resistance, right? And your resistance, you always choose your resistance. So you always have the choice to let go of it. So when you think about a desire or something you want to create, how do you feel about it? How you feel is the biggest indication, right? If you feel like just tense or just, nervous or worried or scared or anxious about it, then that is your sign, that is a big warning sign that there is resistance towards it, because your emotions are your guidance system. So if you felt like super excited, like you've decided that you are going to create $10,000 next week and you're so excited and you know that it's done and you're like, it is done, it is certain, it is in my bank account, I know without a shadow of a doubt it's happening, and you feel good and you feel excited, then that is a good sign, right? That shows you that it's coming. So let me kind of just explain a bit deeper what the resistance is, right? Like what it is. So if you think about, let's use a business example. Let's say that you want to sign 2 new clients next week. Okay, so what the resistance is a part of you that doesn't want that. Okay, so if you think about wanting to sign 2 new clients next week, you're probably like, of course I want to sign 2 new clients next week. All of me wants to sign 2 new clients next week, right? But if it's not happening, if you're not creating it, if those 2 clients aren't coming, then there's a part of you that doesn't want it. So hear me out. What it's about is it's understanding that you have different parts of you. So when you think about signing 2 clients next week, okay, you might be, yes, I'm all in. I've got the desire for that. But do you believe that you're capable of it? Right? So it's about asking some questions to really dig under and see what's under the surface. Do you really believe that you can sign 2 new clients next week? Right? And do you really trust that it's happening? Are you 100% certain, without a shadow of a doubt, trust that that's how things work? And once you've decided, the universe can help line things up for you, do you trust that? Do you feel safe to sign on 2 new clients next week? Now, what I mean by safe is there might be a part of you that's actually worried that perhaps you can't deliver the results for the clients, or perhaps there's a part of you that is worried if you signed another 2 clients next week that you actually might not have the time to work with them, considering we're all in, lockdown, and maybe you've got the kids running around screaming. Like maybe there's a part of you that doesn't completely feel safe to sign those 2 clients. Or maybe there's a part of you that actually doesn't feel worthy, right? You don't feel worthy. Maybe you haven't signed 2 clients for a couple of months and you don't feel like you've done the work. You don't feel like you have, you're worthy of signing 2 new clients, right? Carolyn's just asked, how do you eliminate the doubt? How do you know you've cleared it? Yeah, so we'll get to that in a sec. So it's about uncovering the different parts, or maybe there's a part of you that doesn't feel deserving because perhaps you don't feel that you've sort of changed or evolved or grown enough, or, you know, there's a part of you that just doesn't feel like you're good enough. Now, the other thing to ask also is, if you don't get the clients, right, what does that mean about you? Are you relying on signing those 2 clients? Are you relying on 2 people saying yes to you to feel worthy about yourself, to feel good enough? Do you need their validation to know that you are enough, right? So there's a lot of different parts. Yes, technically, you might think all of you actually wants the desire, but when you start to dig underneath it, you can find different parts of you that aren't completely on board. So a great way to check in is actually to think about what you're trying to create. Now, first of all, you've got to be bloody specific, right? You've got to know what it is you're trying to create so you can uncover the resistance. If you've got this desire, I want to have financial freedom. I want to have, these sort of pie in the sky kind of desires that aren't sort of specific or measurable. Like, it has to be something that you can really tune into. So financial freedom for you and financial freedom for me mean totally different things. So what does, that's not a clear enough goal. Does financial freedom mean, $1 million income every year and houses all over the world? Or does it financial freedom for you just mean a 6-figure income, right? It's different things for different people. And also, so what you want to try and do is, like, maybe your big goal is to have a 7-figure income, but let's look at the smaller goal right now. What do you want to create? What are you trying to look at this week or this month, right? So that you really are connecting to the resistance. Because sometimes when you think about, oh yeah, by the end of the year, I will definitely have created that. But when you think about, okay, well, what are you going to create this month? What are you calling in this month? You can start to feel some resistance, because it can be like, oh, I'm not sure if I've done enough work. I don't know if I've got enough leads. I don't know that I've been posting enough on social media, or I've been doing enough calls, or so you can start to uncover what that resistance is. Okay, so Carolyn's saying she always naturally got what she wanted. Awesome. But now I want to create that internally. So often we all go through periods of our life where we create things naturally and we create things easily. And there might be parts of your life too where you've created or manifested things really easily. You just decided and it was yours, right? It was done. And I know that before I even learned about manifestation, I was doing that, right? I'd done that before with things. I did that with my partner. I was in my 30s, or I had been dating lots of idiots, and I was like, I had told myself this story about that there were no good men out there, right? There were no good men, and I was like, oh, all men are idiots and they only want one thing. And I was actually considering moving countries. I was thinking about moving to New York. So I was like, there's no good men in Sydney. I'm going to move somewhere else. Maybe there'll be better men over there. Now, that was a story. So this is the thing. This is the thing about resistance, right? It's about the stories you tell yourself. So I'd been telling myself this story, there were no good men. That I made a decision. That surely there had to be one bloody man in Sydney that wanted a serious relationship, that was going to be my perfect soulmate, that was going to be willing and available and all those things and fall in love with me. Surely there's going to be one, right? Just statistically, right? So I made that decision. I went, I'm going to find that person. I'm going to delete all these guys' numbers from my phone and I'm going to find that person. And I made a powerful decision, and I was like, it is done. This is what's happening. I'm not talking to any more idiots. I'm not giving them any of my space or my time. It's done. It's done. It's done. And so from that place of it being done, I took different actions, right? I got inspiration and intuition and guidance, whatever you want to call it, to take different actions. So I signed up for eHarmony. And I don't know if any of you will know that or remember that. It was an online dating thing, and it took like an hour to fill in their form, and they would send you matches, right? So they would match people up with the things that were important to you. And the first date I went on is my partner now. And the interesting thing about that date is that I wasn't even going to go on that date. I kind of looked at his profile picture. I'm like, I don't know. And then on the day of the date, my taxi was late, it didn't turn up, and I was messaging him going, oh, look, I'm sorry, my taxi's not coming. And I ended up being half an hour late, and I honestly almost didn't turn up because I was like, if someone was half an hour late for me, I don't know that I'd give them the time of day. But one thing led to another. We caught up, and the rest is history. But I have no doubt in my mind that I had decided it was done, and the universe lined things up for me. So this is what I want you to get. When you decide in a powerful way, it is done. It's only the stories that you tell yourself about why you can't have it that are keeping it from you, right? So it's the stories that you're telling yourself. So the thing to do is with whatever you're trying to create. So let's say we're talking about 2 new clients next week. Really tune into that. Like, close your eyes, feel in your body how certain, how much do you believe that is happening, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being like it is done. How much do you believe it's done? If it's a 2, then that's only about 20% of you that's on board, and 80% is not on board. If it's a 10, then it is done, then it is coming, right? But and if it's a 5, whatever's underneath 9 or 10, ask yourself. So a few questions you can sort of ask yourself is what do I believe about this? What do I really believe about this? Why do I think it's not going to happen, right? What am I worried about? What am I afraid of? Or what's the story that I'm hanging on to about how all of this works? Okay, because what happens is the way that this does work is we are all energy. We are all energy. And so when we decide something, we're an energetic match to it, right? When all of our being is on board with it, we're an energetic match to it. And so we are drawn to circumstances or people or opportunities that line up with that, and vice versa. Other people are drawn to us that match our desires. So once you completely wholeheartedly are on board and you know it's done, then it's about really tuning into your intuition and letting that guide you. Okay, letting that guide you, because it's that intuition that's coming from your higher self or your inner being or whatever, or you want to call it, that's guiding you to your desires. So any story at all in your life that anything at all that you don't feel good about is your indication that the story you're currently telling yourself goes against your inner being or your inner self. So let me give you another example. Like, even if someone even if you were to break up with a partner, right? Which obviously is a big thing. So if you were to break up with a partner, it's not necessarily the breaking up with that person that is causing you so much pain and anguish. I know you think it is, but it's really the story that you're telling yourself around what that means. Okay, so if you broke up with someone, you might be making up this story that, oh my God, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. I'll never find love again. How am I going to survive financially? Or, I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy of love. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be miserable. It's all of these stories that make you feel bad, right? That's what makes you feel bad. And the truth of who you are is your inner being knows that those stories aren't the truth. So your inner being knows that the stories that you're going to be alone, you're not worthy of love, are all BS, right? That's what your inner being knows. So if you're trying to get these 2 new clients and you go, okay, I'm only a 5 out of 10, start writing down, why, what are you afraid of? What is that resistance behind it? Why are you worried? Why aren't you trusting that it's coming? What are you making it mean if it doesn't come? Like, maybe, what's the story you're telling yourself? If 2 clients don't sign up next week, what does that mean about you? Does that mean that you're not good enough? Does it mean that you're not worthy? There's a lot of these stories that we hang on to, that we tell ourselves, not even consciously. So the power behind doing this is, or uncovering this, a great thing to do is to write it down, to journal on it, okay? Because the process of writing it down actually gets it out of your head. It gets it out of just all these little like crazy thoughts to getting it down on paper and being something that you can actually look at, and it becomes something outside of you. And the process of writing it down then helps you to be able to look at it. And the next part of this is to be able to ask yourself, well, what is the truth here? Is the truth really that I'm not good enough? Is the truth that if 2 clients don't sign to me next week, that it means that I'm not good enough? If, what do I believe? Why don't I believe that I can get 2 clients next week? What's the truth here? Is the truth that the story you're telling yourself might be, well, I haven't signed any clients for 2 months, therefore that means I can't sign 2 clients next week. But that's not the reality, right? The reality is that the only way we grow and evolve is to do new things and try new things, and that's how we learn and grow and evolve. So what you did yesterday does not dictate the future. It does not dictate what's going to happen tomorrow. The only way it controls what happens tomorrow or next week is that you keep telling yourself the same story. So it's the same thing with even, a lot of people hit a ceiling in their income where they go, I'm at this level, I feel worthy of this amount, but they often have trouble breaking through to that next level, right? They have trouble breaking through to that next level because they've got this glass ceiling. You've heard people talk about it before, this glass ceiling that they think that they're worthy of a certain amount, but no more. And it's about pushing, it's about working out what that resistance is, what that glass ceiling is, and how you can shift yourself through that. So that resistance is the only thing that's blocking you from your desires coming. So if you're not creating everything you want ASAP, immediately, all the time, then you've got resistance behind things. So I don't suggest starting to consciously manifest multiple things at once. I suggest working on one thing and then checking in with it, right? Checking in with how you really feel about it. How are you really feeling about creating that? Are you certain? Are you so goddamn certain it is done? Or are you worried? Are you in disbelief? Are you not trusting that it's coming? Are you not allowing it to come? And, one of the hard things that a lot of people have trouble with is trusting, because they're like, well, I need to control the how. If I don't have X, Y, Z lined up, then it means that it's not happening. But like I said, the way the universe works is once you decide it's done. Now, it doesn't mean that you can sit on your couch and not do anything, but once you decide it's done, then you trust that it is being lined up for you and you follow your guidance. So if your guidance is to go and call a certain person or write a certain post or implement a new lead generation system, then do that, but trust it that you're being pulled to do it, not from that place of having to force and push and try and control all the steps to get there. Does that make sense? So let me just go back to my notes and make sure I haven't missed anything. So it's really just about, and the thing with the resistance is it can feel very heavy. Sometimes when we think about, okay, I want to sign 2 new clients next week, but I just feel like, I haven't done it before. How can I do it? It's not, I'm not sure how I'm going to make it happen. And the resistance can feel very heavy. And the thing about it is that it's because you are believing your stories. You feel like your stories are true, but they are not true. So like I said, in that example, just because you haven't signed 2 clients in a week, it does not mean that you can't do it next week, right? It doesn't mean you can't do it next week. That's just a BS story you've been telling yourself, and your inner being knows that that's not true. It knows that that's not the truth, which is why you feel bad about it. When you're lined up with things, when you're feeling good, when you know that it's coming, when you are in flow, that is your sign that things are lining up, things are flowing. So I hope that makes sense. Like I said, some things, I might put them in the comments actually, just a few questions that you can ask yourself about the resistance, trying to uncover what that resistance is. But it's really about looking at the secret is looking at whatever you're wanting to call in, something that's specific, measurable. So it doesn't have to be a number, but it has to be something that you can sort of measure. Like I said, having a goal of financial freedom, it's too pie in the sky, kind of airy fairy. It's not measurable. You need to break down what that looks like, and the way to check on resistance is to sorry, I was just reading Carolyn's message. I got distracted. The way to, I just completely lost my train of thought. So it's to work out what that resistance is. Okay, I just completely lost my train of thought. What did Carolyn say? But I know there might be resistance. How can I clear it? Maybe I'm looking too much for a silver bullet. Haha. Okay, so yeah, so there. I have a process that's, sometimes I spend half an hour every morning on a process, which is some journaling, right? So I'm going to give you some journaling prompts. I do some other things as well, and I guess it's that's what I help clients do. Like, I help them find that resistance and clear it, right? But what you want to do is, once you uncover that resistance, you then want to have a chat to those parts of you. It's about, and you can do it if you're journaling, or you can just kind of talk to yourself in your head, whatever works for you. But I find journaling works really well. So once you've worked out what the resistance is, okay, I can see that I have some fear around XYZ, and I don't feel safe because of whatever, and I'm concerned that I just can't, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or whatever those things are. The next thing is to talk to those parts of you and to go, hey, hang on. Okay, just pretend you're like having a little board meeting with these different parts of you. That part of you that thinks that you can't bring in 2 clients next week, that doesn't believe you can because you haven't done it before, you just talk to that part of you and you go, hang on, I've done things before that I hadn't done before. I mean, I got my first client without ever having done it before. We all have to do something first, right? We always have to do something for the first time. So you talk to that part of you. And like I said, it helps to journal on this. It helps to journal because you're really getting those thoughts out and starting to release it. So by talking to those parts of you, you can start to release it. So that part of you that doesn't feel safe because you're not sure if you're good enough or you don't have the time, you talk to that part. Well, look, I know I've helped clients before. I've got great results with clients. I know I can do this. I've done the study. I feel called to do this. And because I feel called to do this, I know that I can. Okay, so it's about talking to those parts of you that aren't on board and trying to get them on board. So it's like having a little board meeting with all the different parts of you, all the little voices in your head. And like I said, I really feel journaling is a great way to do that. So any questions before I wrap up? That's the main thing. Get clear on your desires, right? Got to get clear. They've got to be specific. Work out what the resistance is. So first of all, just honestly, a great way to do it is hand on your heart, close your eyes, think about that desire and just think, how certain am I out of 10 that this is happening in the time frame? Like, give yourself a time frame. Don't say forever, say next week or next month, so that, because that's when you start to see the resistance. When you put a time frame on it and you're like, okay, this is going to get done. It's not like sometime in the future, because that never happens. It's like, it's going to get done next week or next month. Tune into that. Out of 10, how good does that feel? 1, not at all. 10, it's done. And then I'm going to put these journal prompts down. Ask yourself some of these questions to start uncovering the different parts of you that aren't on board. Because there's always a part of you that doesn't feel safe, doesn't believe, doesn't feel good enough, maybe not worthy, maybe isn't trusting. And like I said, trusting is a big thing. Being able to release the how, being able to know that it's coming once you're lined up to it. So I just want to share a little story, actually. So one of the clients I've been working with, she's got a network marketing business, and she had not signed a new team member in 6 months, right? She just had so much resistance around it. Of course she wanted it. She was hustling, she was working, and that was what she wanted to do. And she didn't even realize she had resistance until we started to dig underneath it. And we started to dig underneath it, and she had all these fears. She didn't, she actually felt like people were going to say no to her, right? So she was creating that because she believed that people would say no to her. She was scared of getting on calls. She didn't like talking. There are quite a few other things. So I gave her these processes to do every day. We did some work together, and just today she signed a client. or it's assigned a new team member. So because she'd been able to uncover that resistance and then shift it, things start happening like that, right? So, and I'm so excited for it because this is her first teamie, but now that she's learned how to shift that, it's like, she's like, I felt so good. They were a yes before they even got on the call. And this is the thing, she's now magnetically drawing in people that are a yes, because that's what she's a match to. So I want you to get that too. It's like when you will bring in whatever you're a match to. So if you believe that people are going to say no to you, they will say no to you. If you believe that your soul aligned clients come to you because you are worthy and your work's amazing and you're going to change their life, then those clients will come to you. It's the way it works, right? We're all magnetic and we're drawing in what we're a match to. So I hope that was helpful. Check the comments for the little journal prompts and I will talk to you again soon. Have a great night. Bye for now.